the corn that I use. It's cracked corn. It's the first time I use this brand, but it's just like any other. I usually use like the Goya brand. It comes in like a 1 pound bag. I think this was 2 pounds. So I don't cook too much at a time because my pressure cooker can't hold that much. So as you can see, well, this is about a pound. It's not really that much, but when it cooks, it's gonna really expand. So right now it's like the evening. I'm gonna put some water in this thing and put it to soak. Please don't mind my dishes. I'm just gonna put this to soak overnight, and in the morning I will cook it up. I'm just gonna leave it out room temperature. Alright, so this is the next morning. I drained off the water from the corn. I'm gonna put some fresh water and oops, I keep lighting the wrong stove. And then I'm gonna let this cook for about half an hour under pressure. It is all boiled up. I almost missed the boat because it looks like all the water's gone. So what's gonna happen now is that I'm gonna allow it to cool, and then I'm gonna grind it in my my grinder, my KitchenAid. Okay, so I got the corn nice and cooled off, and I'm supposed to grind this corn. You really should grind it in a grinder, but for the sake of time and for the sake of also, you know, most people out there probably don't have a grinder. They most likely have a food processor. I decided I'm going to do it like this. Put it in a food processor and grind it up, because these little pieces of corn are kind of big and they need to be, you know, they need to be, I want to say pulverized. It's not really the word. What's the word I'm looking for? I don't know. Anyway, you want to make the particles small so they can absorb the gravy, basically, so that they can be more delicious. The masa that's going to form is going to be corn. This is slightly salted, but beyond that it really doesn't have any other flavor. It doesn't have really much flavor, so you have to do this in order to kind of allow the corn to absorb the gravy so it can be tastier. So anyway, I'm going to grind this up. Relatively smooth masa. It's still kind of lumpy, and that's because I used the food processor. If I used a grinder, it would be more uniformly smooth, but that's okay. It's still going to be delicious. And here we have, this is the gravy from what I made earlier and had it sitting overnight. I'm going to scrape off the fat from the top, and I'm not going to get, you know, too crazy over getting all of it. And like I said, I mean, this is for the flavoring of the masa, the dough, basically. Masa just means dough in Spanish. And then I'm just gonna both of the batches are just mixed up here. Now I'm telling you right now, this here is a little too soupy. You don't want it stewy, you certainly don't want it soupy. And so I'm gonna need to amend that a little bit. And what I usually do, if I make it a little too, you know, if it's too much liquid, I just put a little potato, what do you call it? Potato flakes, instant potatoes, and that'll fix it very quickly. Alright, so here we go, instant mashed potatoes. I usually just put, you know, a little bit, and then mix to make sure that, you know, I'm not putting too much in at once. So I'm just putting in a little bit and then mixing in. I know this seems like a lot of steps, a lot of ingredients, a lot of time, but in the long run you will be very happy with the results. And of course you don't do this just for every day, you know, you're doing this for special occasions or to keep, you know, I usually freeze mine. And, you know, if anybody comes around, you know, you can boil up a few and, you know, you'll have a ready appetizer in case you have unexpected guests. And they'll be wondering, gee, how did you do this? How do you manage? And that's because you're always doing things before, you know, you're digging the well before you need the water, basically. Alright, so this is coming together very nicely. And whenever you add a little bit of the potato, you of course stir. And you don't just keep putting potato, you know, right away. You have to make sure that the potato that you added becomes hydrated. And that takes a few minutes sometimes. Well, maybe just a minute or so. So, I mean, it's becoming kind of hard to stir. And that's kind of what I want. I want it to be, yeah, I think this is it basically. I think that was probably about a cup I put in altogether. And of course, you're going to have to do this by feel. But basically what you're looking for is the consistency of cookie dough. You know, you need to be able to make a little bit of a good lump in the wrapper in order to make it come together. So this is good. Oh.